Hello and welcome to Mind on the Match. This is the last of our predictions episode now for this week, and we've left the Premier League till last, best till last you might say, I don't know. And I'm joined by a Man United fan and a Leeds fan. So what can possibly go wrong? We've got Ben who's a United fan and Jack who's a Leeds fan. Cheers, going on, lads.
Well, mate.
Right.
And you can see by Ben's jacket, and obviously Jack's got that in the background. I told him that he weren't allowed to do that to put the camera up. There you go. No, I'm only joking. So yeah, we'll do what like we've done with the rest of them. We'll go from bottom to top. So we'll start with Jack, the new voice to the Premier League. Who have you gone bottom of the league?
Reluctantly, Fulham.
Right.
And I've done that on the basis. To be honest, I've done that on the basis that I think they should have gone up from the Championship a lot more convincingly than they did do. Personally, had them as quite of a favourites to win the Championship. I think they've got a manager with a lot of potential in Scott Parker. But I think it's a bit. I don't know. There's something about them. I don't think they're gonna quite pull it off in the Premier League this season. I think they're gonna struggle.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Ben. I've gone with Fulham as well.
I've gone with West Brom.
Ooh, big call. I go.
Yeah.
I think.
Their second half of the season was just so unconvincing. They were lucky to get up automatically in the end because Brentford messed up their chances just after lockdown. They weren't with their goals were a problem. If you can't score in the Championship, scoring in the Prem's a lot harder.
I must admit, when for West Brom have to be the first team to bottle it in the Championship and still go up.
Yeah,
Literally.
I know. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, everybody were trying to bottle it, weren't they, towards the end of the season?
Nobody wanted it.
Yeah, nobody seemed to want it, did they? But yeah, I've gone with Fulham. I can see where you're coming from with West Brom, though. They're a bit of a boomerang, aren't they, with Premier League? They're up and down, but yeah. So what about second to bottom, Ben? Who have you gone with?
That's where I've got Fulham.
Okay.
A bit like similar points. Like they should have come up. They probably should have come up sooner than they have, more convincingly. Goals. They've got Mitrovic. He scored in the Premier before. He's proven with it, but it doesn't feel like they've quite got enough. They've had a few good signings. They've just signed Areola on loan. So they've got a good keeper for it. You just don't. You worry a bit defensively about them again. That was their issue last time they came up. Their attack was brilliant. Their defence was shocking.
Yeah, the leak goals last time, didn't they?
Awfully. But I think Areola's a good signing for them. I just don't think they've quite got enough in them to stay up.
I think it'd be tough for Scott Parker as well. First full season in the Prem. I think he managed a little bit, didn't he, when they got relegated, but I think it'd be tough for him for full season. I don't think he's done a full season Premier League yet.
No, he had like a Darren Moore, didn't he? He had like the last 5 games, even though they were going down anyway.
Yeah, so I think that could work against him. What about you, Jack? Second to bottom.
I've gone West Ham.
Ooh, right.
I just think, they're quite obviously they're a team that shouldn't be getting relegated. Size of the club, the players they've got, they shouldn't be going down. I think they're good enough not to go down. I just think there's so much going on at that club. The fans aren't happy, quite rightly. I saw a clip on Twitter of a bit of their defending in pre-season, which was quite funny to watch, and it was just captioned "West Ham are going to be a laugh this season," and I think that kind of sums it up a bit. I think they're going to struggle. They struggled a lot last season, and I think there's a lot of players there that don't really want to be there.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot this week, haven't they, with their Dane Garner sale? They're not happy, are they, the players, by the social medias? I mean, for the captain to speak out like that, sure, they're not happy about it, doesn't
speaks
it?
Volumes. Speaks volumes, and you could tell that you get players wishing players well when they leave clubs and things like that. But that wasn't Mark Noble wishing Dean Garner well. That was him outright saying he wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, annoyed about it, weren't they? There, and there were a few. I think Declan Rice liked something, and Jack Wilshere liked something. So yeah, there's definitely unrest there, and there has been for years with West Ham. But yeah, I can see him struggling as well. But for 19th, I've gone for different to you two. Because I've gone with Crystal Palace.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, they were shocking, weren't they, back end of last season? And I just think it's gonna carry on. I think Zaha's already left in his head.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he still could leave me yet before the start of the season. And I fear for Palace. I think maybe they should have. I like Roy Hodgson, but I think they'd have been better getting rid of him for next season.
I was going to say on that point actually. I mean, I haven't got Palace in my bottom three, but I think the thing, I think they'll struggle. But I like the fact that they've kind of changed their mentality a bit with their signings. You know, they're going after a lot of young signings. I think Eze is a great signing.
That's
for them.
a great sign. He's been classed for QPR, hasn't he?
But I agree. I do still think they'll be down there.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle. I think they're keeping Hodgson more on. They've gone with more emotion there rather than. I think if he were in, because he's probably going to retire in it at the end of this season.
Yeah.
Unless he does what Neil Warnock does and comes back every few years. But no, I do. I fear for Palace. I think, like I say, I like Hodgson as well, but I just think time's up there. I think they would have got rid of him if he weren't, maybe finishing at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But in 18th, I'll say mine because I've got someone who you've got in relegation as well, Jack. West Ham. I've gone with West Ham in 18th.
Yeah. And similar reasons, I assume.
Similar reasons to you, like we talked about, just all the unrest there at the minute. And for the club captain to come out so close to the season, saying he's unhappy with the sale, I think that's just going to... There's obviously unrest there, isn't there, with the players. They're after Tarkowski, aren't they, from us, which obviously I hope doesn't happen, but they definitely need something, don't they? They need some.
Yeah.
They need to spend this dying garden money wisely because fans are annoyed, players are annoyed at it. So wherever that money goes next is going to be crucial to the whole club feeling, I think, going into the new season.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got them in 18th. What about you, Ben? Your final position?
I've got Brighton as 18th.
Good man.
I just feel, well, after the restart, the second half of last season, they were shocking. They picked up a bit after the restart, but they've been flirted a bit with it for the last few years, and I think this year they might just run out on them in the end. I think if they carry on like they were before lockdown, they're in massive trouble. Goals were a shortage. They try and play nice football, but it's a bit like Bournemouth play nice football, but flirted towards the last few years of relegation, and think luck might just run out and there's better quality teams in and around the league now who will push them down and relegate them.
Yeah, I can see that. Just they've got good defence, aren't they, Bournemouth? Like the defence quite. I like Dunk. He should be an England team, Dunk, with Tarkowski. But
yeah, they've got good
I've mourned
defenders.
about that one enough.
It's goals at times for them.
Yeah,
They didn't score enough goals last season.
Yeah,
They
they
score
did,
enough.
no.
And you look at the team and you don't see a 20 goal scorer a season. There just doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true. Morpie, he's a nuisance, isn't he? But he does need to have more goals next season.
He
So
was
what
in
about
and
you?
out as well.
Yeah. What about you, Jack? 18th.
Well, I'd avoid the hashtag AVFC on this one.
Oh,
I've gone with Villa, and I obviously they narrowly scraped it last season. Probably should have gone down, really. I think Watkins is a superb signing. Whether it's going to be an immediate superb signing remains to be seen. I think they've got, again, similar to West Ham in the sense I think they've got a team that's more than good enough to stay up. I just don't rate Dean Smith in the slightest.
you know.
I don't really rate him as a manager, and I just think that they're a team that should have done. I know they had a massive turnover in players when they came up, which isn't ideal when you get promoted. I don't know. It's just something about Villa. I see them struggling again next season.
Yeah, they could well do. Like I said, they only scraped it, didn't they? And VAR had a little bit of a play in that, didn't they?
Yeah.
I can't get over that. Still can't.
I know.
When I think about it, why didn't VAR step in with that?
I know, yeah.
Ridiculous, but Villa won't care, will they? They'll be loving it. So what about we'll stick with you, Jack. Who's just about going to scrape it and stay up?
But I think this was slightly biased on my sense in the fact that I really like Slaven Bilic, and I've gone with West Brom to stay up on that basis. Brent, I completely agree with what Ben said before about in his opinion of them going down, in the sense they had a very, very bad second half of the Championship. They were just that good in the first half that is the reason they went up. I don't know. I think Dean Garner could prove to be a big difference for them this season. Absolutely superb play, he really is. I think Bilic in the long run isn't going to be good enough for them, in my opinion. But I can see him keeping them just above this season.
Yep, I've thought exactly. I've gone West Brom 17th. Thought exactly the same reasons. I think I like Bilic, good manager. I think he'll be able to keep him up this season. And Diane Garden, now he's signed permanent. not all the time, but a lot of the time, when you're permanent rather than a loan, it can kick on your game a bit, can't it? So we'll see. We'll see how that gets on. But I agree. I think West Brom will. Big fan of Bilic. Bit like you, maybe not long term, but I think this season he can maybe keep him up.
Yeah.
So what about you, Ben? 17.
You're not going to like me, but I've got Burnley here. I just think your depth in squad worries me a lot. You've lost a lot of players this transfer window and don't really seem to be replacing them or attempting to replace them. You're well known for being hard to beat, getting you scrappy 1-0s, but it just seems like you're a few injuries away from an absolute crisis.
Yeah,
especially your midfield and strikers. Like if they get injured,
Ben might accidentally lose connection in a minute, but we'll wait and see. No, yeah, you've made a fair point. I can't argue it, sadly.
It's like you look in your squad for the end of the season when it was 7 subs and you had 2 keepers, 4 academy players.
Yeah.
If you get the depth in squad, you go back up again because you're known for being hard to beat. And if you score first, teams hate it because they know what's going to come. But
yeah.
If you don't get the first goal, it's a lot of trouble. And you look at the bench and there's not really any game changers anymore, other than Vidra, you could say, but that's about it. Be a game changing if you're not, plan A's not going well.
Yeah, I like I say, sadly, I can't argue any of them points because we haven't strengthened at all, really, have we? We've brought in another goalkeeper. So we can stick to having 2 on the bench again, which will be good. But yeah, I don't know what I can say about that. I'd love to defend us, but we desperately need to sign some players.
That's the only worry because you're established, you've got your system, but it's the depth. If you get injuries, because Dyche wants them to work so hard, that muscle injuries will pop up all over the season and the replacements just aren't there.
I mean, you say about squad depth, but I just think that Dyche loves goalkeepers that much that I just think he likes looking at the bench and having 2 goalkeepers there. I think he really enjoys it.
It makes him feel safe again.
We've got a young keeper as well, Jensen, so he might be able to stick 3 on this season. We'll see. But yeah, I hope you're wrong because I'll be squeaky bum time for me, won't it? If you prediction. But yeah, we'll wait and see. So what about just above them, Ben? Just above us in 16th? Who are you thinking?
I've gone with Villa for this one.
Yeah.
They survived it just last season via a technicality in the end. They should have gone down, but they got lucky with Hawkeye. I think Watkins could be a big signing for them though. If he can score 15 goals for them in the season, along if you can get Grealish's form to be more consistent throughout the year, I think they can do a lot better than last season. 16. If Watkins can score, they've got a good squad. They shouldn't really be too troubled at times, but they make life hard for themselves with silly mistakes here and there. Heaton getting injured, I think, in January for them was a big wobble because Pepe Reina came in and wasn't really impressed with him. He didn't really seem to do anything for them. But I just think with the sign of Watkins, because who was it they signed last summer?
Wesley
struggled for goals. He took a long time to get his first and then didn't really seem to pick off after getting that.
He was unlucky as well. He got injured at turf with Heaton, same game.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He came in for 30 minutes. I think if Watkins comes in and hits the ground running, they'll be all right. If he struggles, they could be in a bit of trouble again.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I've got Villa down there, so I'll come to him. What about you, Jack? 16.
I'm afraid we're going back to Turf Moor, my old mate.
Bloody hell. We're going to Turf Moor a lot earlier than I wanted to.
And I mean, I'm not going to regurgitate what Ben said because he's absolutely right. I think, but the telling thing for me was I know you were worried about, potentially Dyche leaving this summer. And I just thought a lot of his comments over the last couple of months have been quite telling for me. You can tell he's not happy. He's not happy with a lot of stuff, and I'm sure he's even unhappier now at the talk of Tarky leaving. Whether he does or not is a different question. But I don't think Dyche is happy, and I think that could reflect quite badly for Burnley this season. He clearly wants a lot more than he's getting, and I don't know if there's going to be the same happiness in the squad as you're used to with a Burnley side.
Yeah. I mean, sadly, it's not going to be long before I'm going to come to us, so I will say more very shortly. But yeah, Yeah, I agree with you both. Sadly, I'm a little bit worried this season. But in 16th, I went with Newcastle. Gone with bit of a. You never know with Newcastle, do you? You know, like they could kick on and get a few. I thought Steve Bruce, to be fair, did a great job last season. I thought in the end he got a lot of stick, didn't he, for getting the job. But I think all this with the ownership will have an effect on him this season, right through the club. I like some signings they've made. I'd like us to go for Ryan Fraser. I'd have loved him at Burnley. I think when his head's switched on, let's be honest, he was one of them, weren't he? He wanted to leave Bournemouth for so long, he'd given up, and he weren't the same player. But I'd have loved Fraser at Burnley and Wilson as well. They've signed some good players from Bournemouth, but I just think that ownership will, the feeling around the place will be a bit down after that. I think until that gets sorted, they can't properly move on.
Yeah,
that's my thinking behind it. So yeah, I've got them in 16th, and then I'll carry on because I've just said a minute ago I've got us in 15th. Reluctantly, I wanted to put us higher, but I could have put us lower, to be honest. Yeah, everything you've said. Darch is a big worry. I don't think he's going to leave now. There's nowhere to go, is there? But we'll have to wait and see. We need recruitment desperately. Squad's way too thin. I know we got away with it, really, didn't we? After lockdown, we did okay. That really, to say the squad we had, I thought we did really well post lockdown. But I do worry for everything you said. The squad's just not big enough for a full Premier League season. And it needs mixing up. Tarkowski, I think if Leicester come in, he'll go. I don't think
who really replaces him.
Well, I think it'd be Joe Worrell, Forest.
Yeah, but again, that's not going to be a proven player, is it? So
no, so it's another risk. But to be fair, when we got Tarkowski, we're champ. You know the difference is going to be with Worrell is if Tarkowski leaves and then they bring him in, because Worrell apparently wants guaranteed football, which he's not going to get if Tarkowski and me stay.
Yeah.
But if that is the case, the difference is going to be this time Worrell's not going to get a bit of time out before he gets thrown in. That he's going to get thrown straight in if Tarkowski leaves. And it might be beneficial to it, might not. But the others, like Tarkowski and Keane, they were sort of bedded in. They didn't come straight into the team. So it'd be interesting if that happens. But obviously, I don't want Tarkowski to leave. He was quality last season. So we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like Worrell will come in if Tarkowski goes, which I think he will. If Leicester come in and meet the valuation, I think he'll push that deal through, Tarkowski. I even think if they come in with 40 million, Tarkowski will say, right, that's enough now. I think they'll accept it. I think he'll push him. But I don't think he's bothered about West Ham. I don't think he wants to go down south again because he's got family more, local around here. But Leicester's European football in it, so
yeah,
we'll see. I think that'll be too big of a pull, but we'll wait and see.
There's always Kevin Long.
There's always Kevin Long, yeah. Kevin Long's here for life. Yeah, the man's...
He's never leaving.
He's never leaving. The man's due a testimonial this year, so yeah. Yeah, he's definitely loyal. I'll give him that, Kevin Long.
Hopefully fans are allowed back in for that one.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully we're allowed back in, yeah. So what about 15th, Jack? What have you got?
I've got Crystal Palace.
Okay.
Yeah, I like, as I say, I mentioned before, I like the change in mentality with their transfer recruitment. They do seem to be after a lot of young players. Really excited to see Eze in the Premier League. I love watching him in the Championship, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see him in the Premier League. I think Roy Hodgson's last crack at it. I think you might see the experience come through, and I see him having enough to keep them afloat for another year. But I've got better teams below Palace. In reality, I've got better teams below Palace, but I think, as I say, I just think the experience of Hodgson will see them through for this season. Yeah,
it could work the other way to what I think. Could easily be Hodgson's last season. He goes out on a high, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think Palace will accept, a mid-table, I suppose, 15th, would they? I don't know. It's hard to say it with them teams at the bottom half. We all want to be higher, but
they're after Batshuayi still, I think, as well, which could be pivotal for them.
Yeah, that'd be
on a season-long loan today. Did they confirm it today?
No, they confirmed it today.
Yeah, confirmed it an hour ago.
Right. Yeah. Right. So again, that could be very pivotal for him. He was very good for them on the in the short time he was there. So yeah, that could be very good for them.
Yeah, they need a striker as well, don't they? I think Ayew did all right last season, but
Yeah.
they need more than Benteke, that's for sure. What about you, Ben? 15th.
I've also gone with Palace.
Right, you two similar reasons.
Similar reasons, yeah. And I'd had them, I think, a place lower, but with Batshuayi coming in, changed it for me because him and Zaha linked up well last time. And I think if they can regain that partnership again, goals flow a bit more naturally within that team rather than just looking to Zaha or a moment of magic from somewhere. Like Jack said, they've switched up their transfer policy a bit now. It's not just picking whoever's best at the time. Or it was just a bit erratic at times with who they were signing, but there seems to be a bit more of a method now. The players have got the respect for Hodgson, so there's no issues on that side. He's probably got a year or two left in him. So if he's got the last year, I think they'll push and they'll want him to go out on a high. And they'll also be knowing they're fighting for the places for next year because a new manager might come and say, you weren't up to it last season, so I don't want you.
Yeah,
I think Zaha, he's got a mentality problem at the moment. He doesn't want to be there. They've come out and said he wants to, but I think he's professional enough. If no one comes in with an offer, you can't do anything. So I think if no one comes in, he'll be all right with it. So I think if an offer came in and they rejected it, his head would be gone and he wouldn't play as well. But if no one comes in, I think he'll put his head back down, get going again for the season and drive them on.
Yeah, could well do. I hope I'm wrong on that on Palace because I don't mind Palace, to be fair. They've got good fans as well, haven't they? Palace. So that's another thing that could affect them, though, because they have got...
It is, yeah.
You saw how poor they were. That could have had something to do with it because the fans are so good, aren't they, at home?
It's not a nice place to go, Selhurst.
No.
When you need a result, it's the last place you want to go.
You look at Man City when they were on that run they were on when they won the league. You know, they didn't get a result at Selhurst.
Yeah. Not a nice place to go. I believe the away end as well. Bettany, one of our mates, he went, didn't he, with Leicester, and he said he couldn't see anything. So, but I think you were happy because I think Palace won 5-0 that day. So
yeah, he
were
left
quite
like
happy he
3 or
couldn't
4.
see anything. But yeah, not that I can say it about away fans, being a Burnley fan. But yeah. So what about just above them, Ben, in 14th? Who have you gone with?
I've gone with West Ham for this position, just based more on anything than their squad that they've got. If they've got problems off the pitch, obviously everyone knows about them. It's been well documented. I just think on the pitch, their teams, it's too good to be any lower, really. If they all play to their potential, you've got Rice. At the end of the season, Antonio's form was incredible. The defence is usually quite good. Fabianski is a very underrated keeper, I think, at times. He pulls off a lot of brilliant saves. I just think they've got star players. They've got like Felipe Anderson, who can just turn it on at any moment that they want. They've signed that Soyek, who's a good player. Was with them at the end of last season, I think. He's a good player. They've got Jared Bowen. They've got players who can turn it on at different moments attackingly that I think will see them through and push them to just above in a comfortable position.
Yeah, Felipe Anderson's a weird one, isn't he? He was unplayable season before. And then last season he was useless, weren't he?
Yeah, it was a bit of like second season syndrome with him last season, wasn't it? He didn't seem to be there. But I think if they can pick him back up, their wingers are more than capable of causing havoc for a lot of defences. And if Antonio can keep his form consistent throughout the season, I don't see any problems for them.
Yep, fair enough. What about you, Jack? 14.
Yeah, I've got Southampton in 14.
Right.
Again, I don't think it'll be too exciting a season for them again, but I rate Jacinto, is it? How you pronounce his name? Ralph Jacinto, is it?
Yeah,
I rate him as a manager. I think it may well depend on how much of a goal scoring run that Ings has again this season. Will we see that from him again? I don't know. But again, I think they've got a well balanced team. I don't think they've got anything too much to worry about next season. They had a very poor first start to the season last year, but I think the momentum will carry on for them, and I think there'll be not too much to worry about for Southampton.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that'll be massive if Ings can keep his form from last season, because without his goals, they could be struggling again, couldn't they, Southampton? But last season they were fantastic second half, weren't they? Second half last season. In 14th, I've gone with someone you both already mentioned. I've gone with Villa. I think they're gonna have a decent season, Villa. I've got a feeling. Kept Grealish, looks like. I can't see him leaving now. So I think that's vital, and I like the signings. I think Watkins will kick on. I think he'll have a good season, first season in the Premier League. So yeah, hopefully he'll settle quickly for their sake. And I think Villa will be all right this season, yeah. And then 13th, gone with Leeds.
Well, I was quite happy we haven't been mentioned yet, so I'll take that.
I was going to say, I didn't know what... When I wrote you down, I thought to myself, I think he'll be happy with this, Jack, because he'll have been expecting me to be on the rest of the league up in bottom, yeah. But no, I've gone with Leeds. You're a tough one to call, I think, because you've got an unbelievable manager, haven't you?
Yeah.
Some of the football you played last season was brilliant. Pains me to say it, but you were by far the best team, weren't you, last in the Championship? So I think you will do well. A lot of people are tipping you to top half, which it could happen. But I just think you brought Rodrigo in. Will he get the goals for you that you need? You know what I mean? It's just going forward. I'm still a bit worried about you because with Bamford, he hasn't done it before. He might do. If he gets a run of games, he might do. And I'm sure Bielsa will give Bamford a chance. Loves him, doesn't he?
Can't take that sentence seriously, sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm being quite kind to him maybe, but we'll have to wait and see. You might completely... I don't think you'll do any worse than 13, put it that way.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be too kind to you, so I've gone...
I'll take that.
I'm only joking. 13th, though, is what I've gone with, but I could be proved wrong. As I say, I don't think it'll be any less than that. If I'm going to be wrong, I think you'll be higher up. So what do you think, Jack? 13.
13th, I've got the Geordie men.
Newcastle,
yeah, I've got Newcastle. Yeah, Brucey surprised me a lot, to be honest. I when they appointed him, to be honest, I just writ him off straight away and thought they're going down. But he surprised me quite a bit. I think he rallied them up quite a lot last season, got a few good results in there, and Wilson and Fraser, brilliant signings, really. Yeah. If Wilson kicks on, that is, if Wilson and Fraser both get double figures this season, then I think Newcastle are going to be very comfortable. They've signed the best player that Burnley have had in 20 years in Jeff Hendrick, and I think they're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, Jack's after a very big bite there, really. Very big bite, but. Yeah, Hendrick. You know what? I've been critical of Hendrick because these two had vouched for a lot in the past. I think a lot of Burnley fans have. He's one of them players, but then again, when he left, I was disappointed. He's one of them.
He's a good squad player to have.
He does score good. Like he will get them some important goals.
Mm.
Definitely will. For us, he did score every season. You get like 3 or 4 goals out of him. Off the top of my head, he might have got more than that one year. So. I do like Hendrick, and he's a good squad player. He'll play anywhere. You can't fault his attitude. So I think it'd be good for it'd be a good addition for Newcastle, yeah. But definitely not our best player in the last 20 years, as Jack's trying to make out. But moving swiftly on, Ben, who have you got in 13?
I've also gone with Leeds in this position.
Right.
I think their signings have impressed me this summer, quite a few of them. Rodrigo is a good signing. If he hits his form that everyone knows he's capable of, he's going to be a handful. I think Bielsa as well will drive them on. He's a quality manager. He's proven a lot of people are excited to see him in the Prem. And I think their style of play as well will cause a lot of problems for the teams who are notoriously in the bottom half of the table. They don't like being pressed high. They hate it. If they can carry on that style of play, I think they'll be quite comfortable against a lot of the lower teams because they just won't be able to cope with it. They work rate, you can't fault. He drives them on for that. And I think the squad depth is looking quite good now. They've got some good signings and links with quite a few good more. I think he'll just carry them over. There's teams above them who are a bit more experienced against the bigger teams where their style of play might dip a bit, possibly, if he decides to change it. But I don't think they'll have any problems staying up, unfortunately. I wish I could say they were lower, but I can't see it happening.
Yeah. Bielsa's. I mean, we sort of knew we're staying anyway, but he's announced today and he's definitely going to be managing this season. So they've got a great manager, aren't they? There, Bielsa. So sadly, I think I'm the same as you. Yeah, they'll be comfortable this season. So what about you, Jack? In 12th next, we're up.
I've surprised myself with this one in going with Brighton. I actually think Brighton could finish anywhere from 12th to 20th, to be honest. I don't know. I think I have been impressed with Graham Potter. I think that I still think there's a lot of naivety and inexperience with him there that could drag Brighton into another relegation scrap. And I think I've probably gone with them in 12th on the sole basis that I believe Ben White is an unbelievable centre back, and I'd being deadly serious. And I think he could be pivotal for him next season. But it's like Ben said, as good as their defence is, their attack isn't probably as good as it should be. Maupay's still a young striker. He could come in and have a season of double figures. The likes of Trossard hasn't hit the ground running as much as he should do. But I just think if that attacking line of Brighton can improve on what it was last season, I think they could be quite comfortable.
I'm with you on. I'm with you on that one next. I'll tell you soon when I'm back on. But I agree with you. I think going forward they'll struggle, but I like that defence. Ben White as well. That's like a new signing for him, I think. So I think they'll do well too. But who have you got in 12th, Ben?
I've got Sheffield United in 12th.
Right.
I think a little bit of a second season might come into play with them a little bit. Obviously, they've kept the squad together, bar Henderson, who's returned to us, but they've signed Ramsdale and his replacement, and he's a quality proven keeper in the Prem. I just think there might be a little bit of where they got some big results last year. I don't think they'll pick them up again. I think people will be more aware of how they're going to play and how they can deal with it a bit more. But they'll still get the points against the lower teams. I think the surprise results against the top teams won't be as big this year, which will drop them down those few places. And obviously they stuttered a bit once the restart happened, but they picked back up. So it depends which side of it they also fall on of that. If they stutter after another break, it could be a bit difficult of a season. If they kick on straight away, I think they'll be like a comfortable mid-table. They've proven they've got the quality and they've got the system. Wilder's works wonders with them for what he's got. I just think those big results against the teams that sort of shook us all a bit won't be there this season as much.
Yeah, it's a strange one, Sheffield United, isn't it? I don't think anyone knows what they're going to do, but
it's a hard
they were
one
brilliant last season, weren't they? Like I said,
that's the thing. They came out of nowhere last season, so you just don't know what you're going to get with them this season.
Yeah. Chris Wilder as well. What a job he's done there, hasn't he? In 12th, I've gone for a bit of a risky one. I've gone with Leicester.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, they were dropped off, didn't they, last season massively, and I think they're on the decline. In fact, I reckon Rodgers will be the first manager to get sacked. Is my early prediction. I think it's just not going to work out next season for Leicester. I think some of the players are getting older as well. Vardy's not going to last forever. Evans at the back as well, and I just think other teams are strengthening better, like Everton, around them than they have so far. So I don't know. It's a bit of a risky one, that, like I say, but I think the hangover of ending the season poorly, not getting into that top four, I think it could do them a disservice next season, Leicester. Yeah, I think they'll have a bit of a struggling year. I do. But then on to 11th, and I've got Brighton. Going with Brighton in 11th. Ben looks delighted about it.
Even?
Yeah, I think Brighton are going to do well this season. I think that, again, goals might be a bit of an issue, but I think they're brilliant at the back. I really like Brighton's defence. Is he called Lamptey, from Chelsea?
Yeah, the right back.
Yeah.
Right back, yeah. I think he's brilliant. When I saw him last season, after obviously what games were on telly, weren't we? We could watch him more, but I was so impressed with him. I think he's solid. And then they got Dung. Ben White's obviously signed a new deal. I think Brighton are going to have a strong season. I do, and even though goals might lack a little bit, I think they'll win quite a few games 1-0 anyway. I think they'll keep a lot of teams out at the other end. So yeah, I think Brighton will do well.
Also with Brighton, I think as well with Ben White now, they'll be operating with more of a back three as opposed to a back four.
Yeah.
And that'll allow the likes of Lamptey to go forward a lot more. So so in that sense, you could see an improved attack. So I think in that sense, because it will allow Lamptey to do what I think he did best last season was going forward. So it could be interesting that.
Yeah, he'll have more to work. Like you said, he could change system, Potter. And I like Graham Potter. I think he's done well. I like the way he's got to where he is, sort of thing, with his managerial career. So yeah, I think they'll do well, Brighton, this season. I do. What about you, Ben, in 11th? Who have you gone with?
I've gone with Newcastle in 11th here.
Okay.
I like their squad a lot. It's got a lot of good factors to it. They've signed well over the summer. They've signed smartly for a change. They've not been chasing the big money signings or the big name players. They've gone with sensible ones. They've got Hendrick on a free, Wilson and Fraser, and they've signed Jamal Lewis from Newcastle. I think it just adds, it's just the dimensions to their team. They've got Wilson who's proven to score, and if you can carry on those scoring records, it solves a lot of the problems they've had in the past few years. They've now got Fraser and St Maximin either wing, so they're dangerous on the wings now. They've got a pretty solid midfield now. If they play like 2 or 3 in midfield, they've got the Longstaff brothers and they've got Hendrick now. They're quite solid at the back usually as well. So I think they're starting to get the components in each area right now. And it's the building blocks are there. It's whether they can now go use them to push on and have a good season, because 11th will be the highest they've had for a few years, I believe now. I think Bruce he's known as a defensive manager, but with that front three, he can have a solid defence and holding, and he can just sort of say to the attackers they can do what they want. Because you say to St Maximum, he's got freedom. A lot of fullbacks are in trouble with him with his pace and his trickery. And then they've got Wilson who can finish it off now, and that's what they've been lacking, because Joe Luton looks like a good signing, just didn't quite deliver enough for them. They get that 15, 20 goal a season man in Wilson, and it's a completely different team.
Yeah, that could even push Joe Linton as well. Sometimes when you bring another player in their position, it pushes them on, doesn't it? They think, well, I've got to perform, otherwise I'm not going to get a game. So
yeah, that healthy competition.
They sort of had no one else, did they? So yeah, that definitely could be a point. That Wilson, great signing, I think that. What about you, Jack? Last place in the bottom half, 11th. What are you thinking?
I don't want to worry you too much that I haven't mentioned Leeds yet, but
I'm worrying.
We're getting to them. I've got Sheffield United in 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think they're going to be quite an impressive team to watch. I love Chris Wilder. I'm such a fan of his style of play. I think they made 2 decent signings the other day in the Jayden Bogle and Max Lowe, is it? I think, from Derby.
Yeah.
I think they were in need for a couple of new wing backs to freshen up their team, and I think Jayden Bogle, especially, is a sensational player from what I've watched of him in the Championship last season. And Derby will be very sorry to see him go. And I think for their attacking play, I think Bogle can make a difference. I still think they'll be impressive, but I agree with Bren. They're going to be lower down than what they were. I don't think they'll cause quite as many problems as we were used to seeing.
Yeah. Could go either way for Sheffield United, couldn't it, this season? But I agree on Wilder. I think he's done brilliantly there. So on to the top half then. Jack, we'll start with you. Who have you got in 10th?
Yeah, we're finally on Leeds.
Thank you. Thank God for that.
Similarly to Brighton, I do think we'll comfortably stay up. But I do, at the same time, I do think we can finish anywhere from 10th to 17th. But I think with the likes of Leeds and Sheffield United, I think the reason we saw Sheffield United do so well last season is what you touched on, when the bottom half of the Premier League. It's just that I think there's a lot of teams there that don't have much of an identity and are just sort of there and happy to make the numbers up. Whereas teams like Leeds and Sheffield United that come up, I think they have that winning mentality and they play that certain style of football that the teams in the bottom half of the Premier League that are currently there just aren't going to like. The high press that Ben mentioned that Bielsa likes to implement with it will cause so many problems for those teams. And I do think we can have quite a good run of it. Still some signings to come in as well, linked with Rodrigo de Paul from Udinese, which would be an unbelievable signing. And obviously replace Ben White with Robin Koch from Germany, a German international. I do think we'll surprise a few this season.
Yeah. Sadly, we agree, don't we, Ben? Really, we've been kind of putting him in 13th. Yeah, but no, yeah, I do as well, Jack. I think you've got, like you said, I think you'll sign some more players yet as well to add to it. Again, with you, it's just goals with me, but who knows? You still scored goals last season from other areas, so
yeah,
we'll wait and see on that one. In 10th, I've gone with Southampton. I think they'll have another good season this year. I think Ings will carry on where he left off. He was quality, weren't he, last season, Ings? Only thing with Southampton is if Ings gets injured, and I'll say that because obviously being Burnley fan, I know, and in the past he's been so unlucky with injuries. So I really hope he don't get another bad injury like he's had with his knees. I think he's had both knees in the past, hasn't he? Anterior cruciate or something like that. So yeah, I think Southampton do well. I like Hasenhüttl. I think great manager. And to come back last season like they did, because they started awful. They had that 9-0 defeat, weren't it, home to Leicester. To come back after that and finish how they did, I thought that were really impressive. So I think they'll carry on where they left off, Southampton, and have another good season in 10th. So what about you, Ben?
I've also gone with Southampton, based largely on the form of Danny Ings.
Yeah.
I think his goals, they just change aside the amount of goals he scores. He can score them from anywhere at any time. And he just carries, they've become a lot more solid now at the back as well. He's improved them over the season, Hasenhüttl. It's like you said, after that 9-0, everyone had written them off. They'd written him off. They said he was sacked. He was gone within the hour.
I think everyone
they were going down.
They were, didn't they?
Oh, I thought he was going to go after that. I didn't think there was any way they could come back. The squad just looked to have given up on him. Something changed after that game, though. They clicked and they started going a bit again. And then the second half, if the season, they were just so much better as a team, as a unit. They were a lot better. I think if they can carry that on, they've got quite a comfortable season ahead of them. It's like you said, keeping Ings fit is a big thing for them, though. They lose him, it's suddenly a lot different a task to get in that mid-table or even fighting relegation, because he's so pivotal to everything they do.
And his actual 2 seasons that he's had where he's been fully fit in the Premier League, he's scored goals, hasn't he? So
yeah. He even did well with Liverpool until he got that injury. He was even leading their attack, weren't he? Only for a short period because he got injured. Really bad injury. He's been unlucky. Ings. I'm glad he's now getting his consistency. Not with his performances. I mean, just in playing, because he's so unlucky, hasn't he? But like you said, when he comes in, he scores. So that's all you want from your striker. In 9th place, I've gone with Wolves. This were a tough one because obviously I love Wolves and what they're about. I think Nuno's a class manager. What a team they've got on players, but I've just got a bad feeling about them this year. I think they are gonna struggle a little bit. Not 100% yet. They're going to keep hold of all the main players either. I don't know. I've just got a bad feeling with Wolves. I like what Everton's done as well. It'll be in competition with them. And another team I'll come to, Sheffield United, I just think are going to kick on again. But yeah, I've put Wolves in 9th, reluctantly, because I just think they're gonna have a tough one this year. But we'll wait and see. I could be completely wrong on that because they've got some quality players. Again, like we said about the system with Sheffield United, I love theirs as well. Wolves, great footballing team. But yeah, I don't know. I've just got a feeling they'll have not a terrible season, but 9th place. What about you, Ben?
I've gone with Leicester in 9th.
Yep.
I think the hangover from the end of last season could be a blow to them. A lot of their players, you've got Maddison, Vardy, we're all dreaming of your Champions League positions. They've now fallen into Europa League, so that's a lot of different a task. Thursday to Sunday games are knackering for a lot of teams, the travelling that's involved in it. They've lost Chilwell as well. Big thing for them because he was so dominant down that left-hand side. I know they've signed their replacement for him, but I just don't think it's not the same as what he offered them. They've still got Pereira off something down the right, but I see a hangover coming from last season. I think the disappointment of missing out on Champions League is going to affect them more than they possibly know it's going to. As well, keeping players fit, like they lost Maddison when we came back from lockdown, and you could tell the creativity was lost quite a lot when he wasn't there. So I think if they get key injuries, it could be a problem for them. They've obviously got too good a squad to be any lower than the top half of the table, but I think the teams around them have improved a lot more, a lot smarter than they have as well. They've only signed a replacement for Chilwell and haven't signed anyone else of any note. I just think with the other teams improving, the hangover, it's going to be a bit more of a difficult season than what they're used to. But I think they could do well in Europa League. I think could be a shining light in their season. They can do well in that competition.
Make or break them, I think, Leicester next season. But we'll wait and see. What about you, Jack?
I've also got Leicester, and I think if they signed Dwight McNeil off Burnley, I think they could be higher.
No, Not happening.
But no, I've actually put them in ninth because I just haven't got a clue what they're going to do this season at all. I haven't got a clue what they're going to do. They're like Ben said, too good of a team to be in the bottom half of the table. But and I still think they're always going to be a team that surprises people. But yeah, I think there's just going to be too many stronger sides than them this season for them to push much higher than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Leicester will be a bit of a struggle for Leicester to get back from what happened last season because they were so comfortable at one point, weren't they? And then it just went a bit pear-shaped. So in 8th, Ben, who've you gone with?
I've gone with Everton in 8th. I mean, the signings this summer, I've been impressed. That midfield's been completely revamped in one summer. That's something you don't really see at many teams anymore. The fact that midfield's been changed in one summer. Rodriguez, Decore, and Allen, all top three quality signings straight away. You've got Allen who's your holding straight away. Rodriguez, everyone knows what he can do. He showed it at Bayern Munich. He showed it at Madrid in glimpses. It just didn't work out for different reasons there. I think now with Ancelotti in charge of such players as well, he can get them going and start to get things going. I think they lack a bit on the wings at times. But Richarlison, I really rate him as well. He's a good striker as long as he can keep his consistency because he dips in and out a bit at times.
I think he's a confidence player, isn't he, Richarlison?
Yeah, he's a big confidence player. They've got a good defence. They've got Keane and they've got Yerry Mina. Like them, Pickford wasn't brilliant for them last season, but I think he might be. If he can pick up a little bit again, they could possibly go higher. But some of their goals, which cost them a lot of points, came from errors from him. So I think they can fix that. I think it's a confidence issue for Pickford as well. He makes one and it gets in his head and you can see it.
Yeah, well, he gets slaughtered, doesn't he, if he makes a mistake?
He gets slaughtered by the media.
Because he's England's number one. If he makes a mistake, it gets a lot more publicised than if someone else does, doesn't it? But
yeah, the press jump on him badly. But I think that midfield could be a big pushing point for them.
Yeah.
If they can get them all gelled in quicker, could potentially even see them higher than 8th, depending on others' performances.
Yeah, they've had a good transfer window, Everton, haven't they, so far? They might even add to it yet. We're going on that long, aren't we, with this transfer window? It's different 2 years.
You've still got to October, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it seems ages away, doesn't it? What about you, Jack, in 8th? Who have you gone with?
Everton as well. I've seen a lot of people suggest that Everton could be a top 6 side, but based on their midfield. But it's a big gap. It's a big gap in class from 12th to 8th in the Premier League. Certainly based on last season, there was a lot of 12th and below in the Premier League last season. At one stage, could have all been considered for relegation. So I think the golfing class in their midfield this season, in comparison to last season, I think will reflect a change from 12 to 8. That's what I believe. I think they'll be capable of getting some good results this season, and that will reflect in going from 12 to 8. I think that will be the extra quality we see. Again with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, if them two can both be players that get double figures next season, then yeah, maybe they will go higher. But I think my gut is they'll be 8th.
Yeah. Well, in 8th, I've gone with Sheffield United. I think they're going to have another great season again. I just love everything about Sheffield United, the way they play. Chris Wilder as well is just so honest in his interviews. He absolutely, sometimes I watch him and I think, Jesus, how do you keep the dressing room? But I think they like the honesty, don't they? I think he's got good, honest working players. And I just love everything about him. They press well. I love the way they use the wing backs as well. Even though it's so different to Burnley, a little bit different. But I've heard him say before with Burnley as well, his team, they all give 100%. They're never going to, if one of them's missing in a game, he picks them out for it. And I like that. I love his honesty, Wilder. And I think Sheffield United will be fine again next season. I think they do well. It were all between them and Wolves, because I haven't backed much up with Wolves. I know I haven't put them in ninth, but I just got a feeling they're going to have I don't know why with Wolves, but yeah, I've got a bad feeling. I think Sheffield United will be fine again this season. I think they'll finish a place higher in 8th. Yeah.
My favourite quote from Wilder in their first season in the Championship, they spent quite a bit of time in the top 6 over the first half of the season. They ended up finishing 10th, and I think they dropped out the top 6. And then with about 15, 20 games to go, he went, "That's top 6 over."
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Wilder. I really am. I think he's. I just love it when he comes out. He's honest every time, isn't it? It doesn't matter if his team's played crap. He's going to tell you about it. He's not going to be sugarcoating it like a lot of them do. So yeah, I do. I think they'll be fine this season because he demands. They've all got to be on it, aren't they? 100% every game. So then into 7th then, and I've gone with what you two went in 8th. Gone with Everton. Again, Everton. Sometimes we've been here before. They've made some great signings. We're all saying, they could even push for top 4, don't we? And it just never seems to happen. But they've got Ancelotti now, which is you can't argue his record, and he's proven all around the world. So I think it'll be an interesting season. Hopefully, Keane won't go to Barcelona like he's been linked. It's the strangest transfer room that I have seen that about, isn't it? Michael Keane to Barcelona, but yeah, I think they'll be, like Ben said, midfield. They've improved it so much, haven't they? If Rodriguez can push on there, get a good run of games, I think, and they're doing it under the right manager as well. I think they'll be good this season. Calvert-Lewin seems to be getting better and better to me as well, the older he gets, and it'll be a big season for a few of them. Pickford, he'll know about the Euros as well. In 2021, and I think Southgate will pick him whatever. Not that I'm at all bitter about that. Nick Pope being our keeper, but there you are. But yeah, so it'll be a big season for a few of their English lads as well. Well, them all, because the Euros coming up. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But I think Everton will do well this season. They might even push for Europe, but we'll wait and see on that. What about you, Jack? 7th.
Yeah, I mean, my 3rd to 7th has changed several times across the afternoon, but I've gone with Arsenal in the end.
Big call.
Yeah, it's a big call. I think they'll be better. I think that's still an improvement on what they were last season, and I think that's what we'll see from them, an improvement from last season. I still don't believe really they've got the defence to be mounting a serious challenge on the top 4. But I've been really impressed with Arteta. He's got much more of an identity than we've seen at Arsenal over the last few years. And I do think we're going to see a big improvement from them. But I think it's going to be from sort of 4th to 7th. I do think it's going to be very, very, very tight. And it may well be that Arsenal finish 7th and only a few points off the top 4.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one, isn't it, up there? But I know what you mean. Arteta's, you can actually see a style of play, can't you, being built now that they all know what they're doing. Whereas I used to watch them and think
there's nothing there.
They look like they've just been thrown out, didn't they? They used to have been thrown on the pitch and just go on have a go. Not like they've done training all week. Whereas now they do. What about you, Ben, in 7th?
I've also gone with Arsenal.
On Arsenal as well.
Like it's been said, I like what Arteta's doing. He's come in, he's got a clear idea of what he wants to do. He's got a huge amount of passion. That's obvious for everyone seeing. That's picked up by the players. They've carried that onto the pitch. They work harder for him. They've got a clear idea of how they're meant to be playing rather than one system for the first half, a complete different system in the second, and even a third at times under Emery. It's a lot clearer. Aubameyang is world class. He saves them so many times. He's unbelievable. He can play on the left. He can play down the middle. They've got Saka now who's come in. He's broke through and he's done incredibly well. Unfortunately, he didn't get picked for the England squad. Probably came a bit early for him, this one, I think. Just about for him, but I like what they've done. It's like Jack said, their defence, it still worries you. You look at it and you think there's no real leader there anymore. There's no standout defender. You think, like you look at Liverpool when they signed Van Dijk, they suddenly had a standout centre-back and everyone around them sort of picked themselves up, whereas Arsenal, they still don't have that. They've got Gabriel, who's a good player and he'll be great for the future. But you've still got players like David Luiz, who's got a mistake in him, got a penalty, a red card in him. You've got Bellerin and Tierney on fullbacks, brilliant fullbacks, a lot of pace in them. But there's just still too many errors back there that I don't think the attack can make up for. I think there's only a certain amount of saving that Aubameyang can do. They've obviously signed Willian, who's a good signing on the free, but he's probably got about 2 years maximum at the top level left.
Yeah, they do a lot of that Arsenal, don't they? Buying players at the end of the career, So I do like Willian. He's a great player, but like you say, he's getting on a bit now, isn't he?
Yeah, so they've got good players. They probably just need a few more, but they'll get that as they go on over the transfer windows and then can push with that. They've just got to be patient with Arteta. I think he's got a system and it will work eventually.
I do expect a big year from Tierney, actually. Expect a big year from Tierney.
I like Tierney. good solid defender in him. While we're on Arsenal, I may as well say I've got a place higher than you. I've got them in 6th. So, I think I was between 6th and 7th myself, and I don't think they'll finish any higher than 6th. But I think they'll get a dodgy last minute goal against Burnley, and that'll propel them into the top 6. No, I agree with you, Chab. I like what Arteta's doing, but I just think it's a little bit early for some players, and they've got other players who are just coming to the end a little. You know what I mean? I think they just need to find that balance. It'll come in years to come. I do like some of the young players. Saka, I mean, he's really impressive, isn't he? I'm a massive fan of Saka. I like what he's trying to do there. Martinelli as well. I think he's signed a new deal, hasn't he? Big fan of him.
Yeah.
I think he could be class in the future. And you've got Aubameyang, who speaks for itself. One of the best strikers in the league, in here. Wherever they play him, he scores goals. If they play him out wide, don't they? So, yeah, I think Arsenal will nick 6th this season, but I think it'll be close. I think Everton will be in with a shout. And even Wolves could have. I put Wolves down on her, but even they could. Like if they do what they did last season, they were unlucky, weren't they, not to get in there. They could even make it. But yeah, I've gone with Arsenal in 6th. So what about you, Ben?
I've gone with Wolves in 6th.
Yep.
I think they're establishing themselves in that top part of the table now. If they can keep their squad together, and they've already added to it with Marcel and Silva, record signing, I think they can push on. They've got Nuno, brilliant manager for them. He's worked wonders over the last few seasons. They've signed well. They've kept their squad together without really anyone really trying to steal it, which is surprising with the players they've got. Neves doesn't really ever seem to be linked away. Jimenez has been linked away, but nothing's really come from that. I think keeping that squad together, they've got quality all over the pitch, and they had some unlucky results at times after lockdown. I think they find their consistency again. I think top 6 finish for them, definitely, with the squad they've got. And they've not got European football as a distraction this season. I think that played a bit of it. They've obviously got good squad depth, but Thursday to Sunday's a tiring experience, even if you're just travelling, even if you're not playing. I think without that full concentration on the league, if you can get top 6, a good cup run or win a cup, it's a fantastic season for them.
Yeah, I think if the transfer window had shut now, right, I'd probably have them a little bit higher, but I just worry with Wolves. They've got some quality players, aren't they? If a club comes in who's got European football, will their head be turned? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's a tough one to call, but I won't be surprised if they get the top 6 again. They're great side. They've got some brilliant players, aren't they? I mean, it says everything when Adama Traore doesn't start every week, does he? And he were last season. He got his end product, didn't he, as well? Because he had everything else, and then he finally got that end product. So he just seems to be getting better and better. So they could be in for a good season. Wolves. What do you think, Jack? In 6th?
Yeah, Wolves for me as well. I think
Wolves
mine and Ben's being a bit identical here now, isn't it? Yeah, no, I think all I'll add on that is the European football would be a distraction for them, and certainly without it, it would be it's going to be a lot better. But I think they should be focusing on a league or FA Cup this season, because they're a huge club, Wolves, and I think they need to remember that. I think they need to remember they're a huge club, and it's trophies that is going to continue that history. And I think it would be really good if they start aiming for a league or FA Cup this season. But I like what they're doing. That they've got so much ambition, Wolves. They really are trying to push for a top 4 place, and I think that's fantastic that they've not just come into the Premier League to make the numbers up. They've got an idea of what they want to do, and they're really going for it. And so, yeah, big fan of them, and I think they'll be another decent season for them.
Yeah, whatever plan they've had going over the last few years, it's worked, hasn't it? They've been fantastic at Wolves. What about just above them, Jack, in 5th? Who have you gone with?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, because I think I really think there's going to be like barely any points in this. But I've gone with Spurs in 5th.
Yep.
And I think it all really depends on their front 3 of sort of Son, Kane, and Bergwijn. If they stay fit all season, because I think if them 3 stay fit all season, you could easily see Spurs in the top 4, because there's just a ridiculous amount of goals there. Be interesting to see how they line up defensively without Vertonghen now. But there's so much quality in that Spurs side, and if they can avoid injuries, which they haven't done in the past, if they can, avoid injuries, first full season under Mourinho, Mourinho is a winner. You know, I think yeah, there's a case for them in the top 4 this season, but I've gone with them in 5th.
Yeah, I've gone 5th as well. With Spurs. You, Ben?
I have as well.
You
Yeah,
got 5th as well. Yeah,
Hey.
it's. I think is that first one where we've all agreed on a position. I think
Might
it is,
be.
isn't it?
Might be, yeah.
Yeah,
Taking
bloody
us a
hell, it
while.
took us till 5th to agree on a position. Yes, more or less what you said there, Jack. Me really. Mourinho's a winner, and he's good. That's what Tottenham are lacking. They need to start winning things, don't they? You know, they're always on the edge of it, aren't they? Thereabouts, but they don't quite get over the line. So they do need, even if it's an FA Cup, I think they'd be happy with that. Spurs, they can get that and get. I just think they won't. I think the top 4, which obviously we've all got the same order of them in, they are just that step ahead at the minute of everyone else for me. So let's have a good run to keep everyone fit. They were unlucky with injuries, weren't they, last season? I mean, the amount of players who got injured, just watching that
That was
documentary.
ridiculous,
I don't know
yeah.
if you've been watching that, but yeah, so if they can keep everyone fit, and like Mourinho, like you say, is a serial winner, and so if anyone's going to get them into the top 4, it's him. Out to add on that, Ben, or are you?
No, same point. The Jose effect.
Yeah.
It's huge. And a lot. Doherty is a great signing for them. I think he adds a lot
Yeah.
to that right back position now.
Good price
He adds
as well.
assists. He adds assists. He adds goals from that position. And like Jack said, that front three, if they can all stay fit, there's so many goals spread out across it that they could push higher. It all depends on keeping them fit. I think their main aim this season, though, they need a trophy. It's what everyone mocks them for the whole time. Everyone's still like, you haven't won a trophy since 2008 was the last one with the League Cup. Like 12 years for a club of their size, it's just too long without winning anything.
Yeah,
So if you can focus on just getting a League Cup or an FA Cup and the top 4 or 5th finish, I think they've done really well.
I think just lastly on Spurs, though, you look at the team that Mourinho finished second with United. I don't think it comes close to that Spurs team, to be honest.
No, that's a good point. I think it's more. I think them other. By the way, that noise weren't Ben throwing something. I
thought it was.
No, I've just dropped something in my room. But yeah, no.
So you're fuming on my behalf.
Yeah, I'm fuming on Ben's behalf. Yeah, yeah. I think Spurs can. I think they probably are better than. I think I agree with you on that. Probably are better than the United team. But I think other teams have strengthened since then, aren't they? I think.
Oh, they have done.
The quality at the top's got better as well. So who's just in the top 4 for you, Ben? Who have you got in 4th spot?
I've gone with Chelsea on this one. Possibly people might have different views, but I think no one can say anything about the quality of signings that they've made. They've been unbelievable signings. They've had a transfer window that every fan dreams of. But they've got to put it together now. They've got to gel 6 first team players or how many years they've signed. They've got Werner, they've got Havertz, Ziyech, Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Sarr. They've signed brilliant players. They're going to sign a new keeper as well to replace Kepa. But if they don't gel together quickly, it's suddenly a big gap to then pick up again. We've seen before teams have signed a lot of players in one summer and they haven't clicked because no one knows how each other plays. They don't know the system that Lampard plays. I think there's also a lot of pressure on him this season as well, which might be a telling factor at times because he's had his transfer window. He's had everything he wants from the board. If he now doesn't deliver a better season than last season, I think he's gone. I think if they finish 4th and there's no trophy again, I think that's it. Abramovich will say, you've had over 200 million and you've not improved. Like, there's no further you can take this team. So I think there's a lot of pressure on him, which could tell. And for me, it's how quickly that team gels. If they gel quickly, they're a lot higher than 4th easily with the quality of players. But
they could even half battle for the title, couldn't they? If all them players,
they could. Yeah, that's what my thinking was that. But it's just, I don't know how they're all going to gel together. You've got Ziyech who's come from Holland. Werner and Havertz have come from Germany. Thiago Silva's come from France.
Yeah.
There's so many different leagues and different styles that those leagues come with. But trying to get them all to gel so quickly could be an issue. Maybe give it a month or 2 and they'll be all right, but it's how big a gap could that gelling period then leave them to catch up?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Jack, do you agree?
No, I mean, I agree with everything Ben said. I mean, I've got, you know, I've got United in fourth, and you can probably guess who I've got third. But
Yeah, same as me, I'm guessing.
yeah, but I don't think that I don't think there's going to be many from third to sixth. I don't see many points in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if United had, I'm for me, it is just a case of if United had a slightly better manager than Solskjaer, I'd probably put them higher. And I do actually think United should be challenging higher. I think they've got an unbelievable team. And for me, it is just a case of the I don't know. I just don't see how the midfield gels at the moment. It may well gel. It could gel extremely well. At the moment, I just don't. I don't know how I see the midfield three going for United at the moment.
Yeah, I'm the same. I may as well say third and fourth because we all, we've gone with Jack, don't we? We've gone with Chelsea and Man United. Chelsea in third, Man U fourth, and I think it's just same again. Yeah, I love Ollie I think it seems like I've nothing against him at all. You can't dislike him really, can you? But
no.
In terms of a manager, I just don't know if he's up to if he's going to win you a league title. I'm not sure. And like Jack said, I think you've got the players, Ben. I think you're unbelievable team, United, and doesn't look like you're going to get Sancho now at the minute, but it changes every day, doesn't it? Like some days they think he's going to come, and then next day he's not. So he might still end up signing. You are.
It's an emotional roller coaster. I wake up one morning, he's signing, wake up the other, and he's not. It's giving up with it.
It's strange, but if you sign him, I mean, you should be battling for the league next season, really. But I just don't. I still think
Solskjaer keeps proving people wrong. I still think he does.
He does. Yeah, he's better than I thought he would.
I just think United are just, they're not a Spurs or a Wolves or an Arsenal. They're a team that should be first or second every year. Yeah, and it is whether Solskjaer does get them to that stage. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. And then with Chelsea, Jack, me and you obviously got third. A lot of similar reasons to what Ben said personally for me. I don't know about you. The signings they've made, they've had an unbelievable transfer window, haven't they? It's just whether they can gel.
I don't particularly. Again, I've put them third just solely on the basis of they have got an incredible team at the moment on paper, but I really don't like it when a manager sort of just goes on a big fire sale, not fire sale, a big transfer policy on the team, and making signings all over the pitch. And part of me just doesn't know if it was that necessary when they got top four last season. I know they're trying to push on and actually go top two. But I just think it would have been good to see how good of a manager Lampard was again with those young players, because in reality that wasn't a Chelsea team that a lot of people predicted would get top four.
I thought he did a good job getting him in top four.
He did.
Season. And I know what you mean. It's a bit harsh, isn't it? He's all these youngsters going to get as much as they're looking now, doubtful. And I can't see how Tammy Abraham's going to get game time next season. Really can't. So his development, it'll just stop some of the developments. Well, fair point. That I've never thought of it like that. Them younger players now probably not going to get as much of a look in, are they? As you say, he's gone for a fire sale, and he's bring them all in. But we'll wait and see. I think Chelsea could even push for the title if them players can gel though.
It'll show how good of a manager Lampard is. But I think it's like I said. I think he's done such a good job to get those young players in the top four, and it's just I'd see it as a massive kick in the teeth if I was one of those young.
And now we'll move on to the champions. Who do you think is going to win it this season? Are Liverpool winning it again, lads? What do we think?
Lesser of two evils for me. This really isn't it. You want my arm and my leg chopped off.
Who have you gone with, City or Liverpool?
I've gone with City on the basis that I think after last season it might have been a kick up the arse for them. They lost so many silly games last season that on paper they just never would have lost. Like the Norwich game and Southampton at the end of the season. Lyon game in the Champions League was a prime example of it. They were tipped for favourites to win the competition and lost to a team who were near bottom for favourites to win the competition. But the team last season was full of shock results for them, but I think it's probably a kick up the arse to their man, to Pep. He's got a few new signs. He's got Ake in. He's got that Fernan Torres who's good for the future. I think key players need to keep fit. When Laporte was out, the massive, massive blow for them. That defence looks shaky without him, which they'll know it's a worry for them. If he gets injured again, will it be able to cope? The midfield, no one can question. De Bruyne, probably the best midfielder in the world. No one can really argue that. He's just incredible. If he plays well, they play well. I don't know. I feel like for Liverpool, it's a bit the momentum you possibly now question. The end of the season had a few draws. They sort of knew the league was theirs. They could relax a bit. Is the same hunger there? They've ended that 30-odd year, whatever it was. They've won the Champions League a few years ago. Will they have the same desire? And they've not really signed anyone of any quality. They've not really changed the squad. So you think
Klopp's
there's no real...
Klopp's more or less said as well there's not going to be a major signing, I don't think. He said that he compared him to Chelsea, so we can't spend like they have. So
no, well, he says that, but they spend a lot of money. You think it's sort of thing that when they were linked with Thiago, that the board weren't willing to spend 30 million. You wonder, will that upset him? Thiago's a world-class player. 30 million is an absolute bargain in this market, and they've said no. You wonder, if they say no to that, and Barca come in for Wijnaldum, is there suddenly a bit of unrest if they sell him and he still can't get his signing?
Yeah, it can easily change football, can't it? From everyone being so happy, and then. But Jack, do you agree? Man City are going to win it, or Liverpool?
No, well, I've gone with Liverpool, but I think there's a few points. I think there's a few points to this really. For starters, I do believe that when Guardiola loses a title like this, we've seen it in Spain and I've seen it in England. Right? He doesn't tend to enjoy it when he doesn't win a title, and I think we do often see a Guardiola side bounce back when that happens. I think with City, I think if they are going to win the Premier League next season, they need Aguero to be back at the best Aguero we've seen. I think that's for a starter. I think they're going to miss David Silva. There's a lot of young players there, such as Ferran Torres and Foden, that I think are going to have to make a big step up if they are going to win the league. Probably need more of an input from Jesus. They are starting to start him in more games than we used to. At the moment, I'm struggling to see an argument other than Liverpool at the moment. I just think they're too good, frustratingly.
Yeah, well, I agree with Jack. I'm afraid, Ben. Ben's about to leave the chat.
There's no good option in this, but
yeah, I'm same as Jack. I think it's too big a gap. I think City will come out with a vengeance. It'll be a lot closer. As I've said, I also think Chelsea will be in with a shout, but I just think Liverpool is too much quality to build on. I think, like you said, Jack, David Silva, what a loss that is. I mean, what a player he has been for them, hasn't he? Even after lockdown, it's still quality, and he's still ripping us to pieces anyway over that City. So, yeah, I think it'd be tough losing him. A few players getting older. Like you said, Ben, though, De Bruyne probably arguably best player in the world, So, best midfielder in the world, sorry. If I don't say best player, I'll get the Ronaldo and Messi lot on me back. Best midfielder in the world. So, yeah, I think it's too big a gap this season, although I do think Guardiola will be pushing the money to, and they'll spend more money City yet, won't they? They just throw it at it, don't they?
We're also ignoring the strong possibility of us turning Liverpool over on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I don't know what a result.
Yeah, so on that note, on that note, we've come to the end. I'm not sure how many of you do agree with Jack on that one. That he's come out with a few dodgy comments. The Hendrick one early doors, I knew we were in trouble with that one. But I was waiting for a Leeds one to come out. So yeah, anyway, cheers for joining us, lads. Burnley were a little bit lower than I wanted, but apart from that, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. So yeah, that's the last of our predictions as well now. Been busy this week doing all them. We got there in the end though, so thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.